We're there to support them. We're there to help them. But these people have to get off the system because it's costing the taxpayers too much money. We need them getting out there, and we need them working. Now, if they don't get through their screening process, they need to go back.
What?
You know you can get up to 82,000 Canadian dollars from Canadian government for doing nothing.
Gang, what's up? Aaron, Canadian Looney. So we've got immigration problems in Canada. We've got housing crisis, cost of living crisis, inflation crisis, a government crisis. And we had these issues long before Prime Minister Carney was elected. Let's take a peek here. Michelle Rempel Garner, who's the Shadow Minister of Immigration, is bringing a lot of attention to the fact that our Immigration Minister, Lena Diab, seems to be clueless. Anyhow, after that, we've got Doug Ford, who's going to have to step in and try to help these feds out with their immigration crisis. Let's take a peek. Let's get going. Michelle Rempel Garner really lights her up.
Oh, yeah.
So the minister claims she's only been on the job for a couple of weeks, but she was the Minister of Immigration in Nova Scotia for many years, close to a decade, I think. During that time, the Auditor General in 2022 found that there was no process to determine labor market needs. And she also asked for no cap on people coming into her province. Is this what we can expect from this minister in her tenure as federal immigration minister? No cap and no process to determine labor market needs.
Minister.
And I'm proud of the work that I and the government at the time did in Nova Scotia. 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, we were living in different times. Right now, we have an economic crisis in the country overall. We need to manage our immigration numbers.
The honourable member.
We're living in different times. It was a conservative federal government, and we had a balanced budget. Thank you for acknowledging that.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. Warms my heart. Earlier, the minister said that the economy would have collapsed if it hadn't been for immigration during COVID. Does she want to stand by that statement?
Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, immigrants have built this country. I would say to you, most of us in this House, unless we are Indigenous, are immigrants, either.
The thing, though, during COVID, the federal government asked everybody to give up their civil liberties, and they shut down the economy to bend the curve to lower the impact, supposedly, on emergency rooms. Then they added a hockey stick curve of immigrants to the strain on the emergency rooms. Why?
Minister.
So thank you again, Mr. Chair. During COVID, my recollection is our borders were all closed.
The member.
But she earlier said that they brought immigrants in because of COVID. Okay. All right. There's a lot to unpack here.
Oh, yeah.
Premier Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, is a long shot away from me being able to trust this Liberal Premier. He's officially conservative. I don't know about that one bit. Seems very liberal to me. Anyhow, he's making a little bit of sense here on having to step in to try to help these feds out. As you can see, Lena Diab is not the immigration minister that's going to help Ontario with their immigration problems, or this country. Let's take a look at Doug Ford.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what we did communicate around the table, and all the premiers agreed that we need more say into our immigration process, very, very similar to Quebec. We want to really focus on economic immigration. Along with my comments about work permitting, I don't want to take the responsibility off the federal government, but in saying that, if you have a pulse and you're healthy, you need to be working. You come to our country. First, they have to go through the system. So I'll give you an example how the system's getting worse through the federal government, not better. You know, they say they issued 70,000 work permits. Well, we have 90,000 people coming in, and altogether there's about 139,000. David, do you have the numbers down better? I think across the country you're mentioning over 280,000 backlogged. I'm very concerned, which the Prime Minister never mentioned to me, about cutting off the funding in literally a month in September for everyone in the hotels. I have quite a few asylum seekers in the hotel in our area and across, especially in Niagara and other areas. The federal government has to go in there and find out who's eligible. The whole system has to have integrity. Who's eligible, who's not. We're a very welcoming country, very welcoming province, and I've always said, people come here, they come here, and it's a privilege to be a Canadian. You go out there, you work hard, and you contribute to society, and you pay your taxes. What's very concerning to me is that we're spending $1 billion, and I've had a few phone calls about, I'm not handing out work permits to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. It's just not happening. What we are doing is when we're spending $1 billion and it's taking 2 years, and people are sitting there, not because they don't want to work, because they don't have a work permit. So that's $1 billion there, and then the feds are adding another $1 billion on accommodations. And if they get rid of that, that's another $500 million, a burden that falls on the taxpayers of Ontario. And I just go back to, again, if you're here, if you're healthy, you need to be working, you need to be contributing to society, you need to be contributing to the tax base. And what else is happening? A lot of these folks that are here, they want to work. We're paying them to sit around, which is crazy. But then they're out there standing on certain corners within the city, and contractors will come by, pick them up, and they're paying them cash under the table. So we're losing a tax base on that. And these people have come here for a better life. And if they truly aren't asylum seekers, and they aren't being threatened in their own country, that's up to the federal government to make sure they're very clear. The people that aren't here based on that, they need to move forward and go back and then reapply through the immigration process. What I'm saying, we aren't taking it over, but the people that are there, that are sitting there collecting, we're collecting welfare, they're collecting free schooling, free health care and everything. I want them working. And if we can support the federal government, maybe they don't have the capacity to handle it, we're willing to do that. I just want people to be out there working. Do I want the whole immigration system on the shoulders of the province? No. Would I like to be treated the same way as Quebec? Yes. And so would every other province and territory. But we have to start getting people to work. These are healthy people that want to work, and they're sitting in a hotel room for 2 years, and they aren't able to work. Well, we want to work with the federal government. We don't want to take over the immigration system per se and take the burden on, which we're doing already, that we're spending over $1 billion. They want to throw another $500 million on our shoulders. But I do want to see these work permits. We aren't getting the data. All I know is on Airport Road in my area, there's people who have been sitting there for 2 years. So they need to explain. They also need to explain that they're saying they're processing 73,000. There's 90,000 people that are here. And then as David was saying, over 280,000 are backlogged. We're there to support them. We're there to help them. But these people have to get off the system because it's costing the taxpayers too much money. We need them getting out there, and we need them working. Now, if they don't get through their screening process, they need to go back and go through the process of immigration. But we can't sustain this hit. People are coming here at this pace, and are they real asylum seekers or not? These are the answers we need from the federal government.
You know, you can get up to 82,000 Canadian dollars from Canadian government for doing nothing. Yes, I am talking about refugees. If you become refugee in Canada, they will pay you up to $224 per day. That is $140 for accommodation and around $84 for food, and that too a tax-free. So it means around $82,000 a year. It looks like a paid vacation to me, or it looks like free money to me. And in addition to this, an average Canadian earns up to 63,000 Canadian dollars in a year, and he pays over 20% in taxes. Then if he buys something, he has to pay 15% again. Although refugee has to pay that, and there are a lot other things that Canadian has to suffer. So become a refugee in Canada and get up to $82,000 free for the whole year.
Oh, yeah.